Hey, Ricky. Sorry about that all. Looks like going to the far end of my garden, and I should have known. It's happened a couple times. It's happened before. Going that far, unfortunately, my internet connection conked out. Yes, Ronald, I am back. It's not Roy. What's up? Not not anybody's fault here, except mine. I should have remembered that going that far was probably going to mess my broadcast up. So hopefully some of the other peeps rejoin. But just to finish off the thought, yeah, I'm back, Kirk. Thank you. Thanks for jumping back on. Lost connection there. I ain't going that far. That's the tent that messes everything up, so we ain't going that far. But here, so we were talking about this. Anyways, B-Dog asked the question. Hopefully he tunes in and checks out the continuation of this live broadcast. Bottom line is, this particular run, Grow Run 5, is probably going to yield between 2 and 2.5 P's for both tents. And that's because, I mean, the quality of the flower is awesome, in my opinion. It's just, the girl's a little smaller, and I know that we can and will produce much better going forward. Ideally, what I think should be expected out of this setup would be to produce at least 2 P's, 900 grams per tray, if not more. And, you know, that's what we're going to document. We are only running 630 watts of ceramic metal halide here, but that is the ceramic metal halide's equivalent to a 1000 watt HPS. Now, ideally, this 630 watt covers a 4x4 space. This is a 5x5 tent, but this is a 4x4 tray. So, anyways, it's a long answer to the question. Hopefully it answers that question. If anybody has any questions about my answer, let me know. But yeah, these girls are looking good. While we are here, and I know the people who have been following me for a while already know about my powdery mildew problems. And if you've been following this grow, you'll know that I've had spotty issues with it, and it's still here. But we've got it under control. Now, I'm going to show you something. I don't have it right beside me, but if you follow me on Instagram, you saw me post that I have a new tool to use in the garden, a new weapon against this powdery mildew, which I've been using for the past 3 days. And that is a UV light, which is specifically a UVC light. And what we're doing is we're using that to kill powdery mildew. Now, this is a test. Now, let me show you what's going on. If you look at this leaf, if you look right there, you can see some PM. It's a very small spot, and you can see it right there. Now, further, you see this, that is a little bit of PM there. Now, I'm showing you this because this showed up 3 days ago, like when I got that, sorry, go up. There, so that's the PM. I don't know if that's what you guys were asking, but anyways, let me check the chat. Okay, so anyways, oh, okay, Kurt, yeah, I'll answer that in a second, Kurt. So, this showed up like 3 days ago when I started treating with the UV lamp, and I left it there because I wanted to see what would happen. And if anyone knows anything about PM, you'll know that it spreads like it's nobody's business. If you see a spot like that and you don't do anything about it or remove it, I promise you, in a day, that'll be quadruple the size. And it'll just keep going. So I left it on there as I'm doing these treatments to see if the treatments would halt the progress. And I can tell you right now, it seems to be. Because it hasn't spread any more than that. It's not definitive just yet, but it has definitely, it seems to have stalled it. Which is nice to know, because this is something that I know the product, specific product and brand that I bought is used in 22 countries around the world in farming in general, not just, not with cannabis specifically. And it's now being implemented in cannabis grows as a completely clean way to manage any issues with PM. So that's definitely, so H2O2 100%. Now what and I could, but if this works, it's unnecessary, because here's what I'm going to tell you. If you start doing a foliar spray of any kind in flower like this, now you're going to see premature pistils turn, curling and ambering. Now, I get it. You can do it at lights out. Unfortunately, my lights out go off at 5 a.m. in the morning. So I'm not going to be doing no foliar sprays when my lights go out every single day. So I wanted to be able to find other solutions. So, and I do H2O treatments, as you guys know, on the rock wool and on the bottom portions that I've lollipopped on these girls to prevent it down there. But on the top buds, like, I don't want to be damaging any of these. And if this works as it's supposed to, and as I've heard it does, this is going to be awesome to have as a tool. Obviously, ultimately, the best solution is to dial in, and that we're working on that, your environment to not have that issue. But, unfortunately, that's the nature of the beast sometimes when you're trying to dial something in, maybe increase humidity to get closer to the ideal VPD. So anyways, this is what we're doing. And it's a very simple treatment. You literally are just scanning a UVC light over the girls. Just don't keep it in one spot for more than 5 seconds. Wear protective clothing. You wear protective eyewear. Cover up all exposed skin, because UVC light is it is dangerous on skin. So you got to be careful. And then in my ambient, I run the ozone generator, which is also a UV light, except for air. And this is how we will implement. It's just some of the things that are part of my IPM schedule going forward. So I thought I'd share that, the new tool in the garden. Let me grab it for you so you guys can see what I'm talking about. All right, so this is the actual product here. Again, for anyone that follows me on Instagram, you'll see that I posted about it. Emil, glad to have you back, and I'm glad you can hear me now. So that's the unit there. This is the physical unit, and that is the light there. Obviously, it's not on because I wouldn't be shining this in my face. This is called the hobby unit. Okay. And it also comes with the protective eyewear, that blocks the UVC. And comes with the protective gloves to protect your hands. Now it's up to you to wear the long sleeves and what have you, and I do that. So it's funny you mentioned that, Kurt, because this is a hobby unit. Okay, so it's essentially targeted at home growers. They have a longer unit. This unit's 11 watts. They have a longer 33 watt unit for what they call larger commercial grows. But to your point, in the large greenhouses, they're mounted on rails, and that's exactly what they do. Once a day, the rails all across the entire greenhouse with one or two UVC bulbs on it will literally just go from one end of the grow to the other. And that's all it takes, because like I said, you don't want that UVC light on the girls, on the plants, or any type of plant you're dealing with for longer than 5 seconds, because then you may damage the plant. Yeah, well, I mean, for sure, you could, I'm sure there may potentially be alternatives that might be a little cheaper. I got to be honest with you. What I find is, unless it's an extremely ridiculous cost, what you might save. I mean, this is a unit that is targeted at agriculture. It's made for this purpose, and it's really not that expensive. This unit cost, what did this cost me? Sorry. Let me just, I think it ran $250. Canadian, that's not US, so that's Canadian dollars. I think it runs about 190 something, or maybe 199 US. For that price, I could probably look into other, maybe cheaper alternatives, but this is something that essentially is proven in agriculture by this company and so on and so forth. So, I mean, it just makes life easy for me. I just went that route, but I'm sure there might be other. Well, you're big in the fish and use UV sterilization for ponds and big tanks. Awesome. Yeah, man. Hey, I haven't been in aquariums for a long time, so I don't know what's out there for that, but definitely. I mean, I got a buddy who definitely uses the UV light as part of his filtration for his saltwater tank, and absolutely, you can definitely look into that. True, never knew it could clean it up. Yeah, 100%. It definitely can. There are many different ways to attack different problems and issues you might have in your garden. And for those of you who, haven't seen already, so what I was referring to as my other part of this IPM is this ozone generator. And I run this not in the tents when there's girls in there, because this will damage the plants. But I run this outside of the tents, so it cleans the ambient air that essentially gets passively, pulled to cool the tents. This is an ozone generator, and this will sterilize the air and kill any airborne pathogens. It's the same type of technology that is used in hospitals and in hotels to sterilize rooms, like I said, in hospitals and in hotels. So B-Dog, yeah, hey, I hope you get a chance, if you weren't already there, to catch the last part of the answer I gave to your question, which was at the beginning of this particular video. But anyways, I'm currently pheno hunting, growing in dirt, but was thinking of going to a drip or ebb and flow system. Where you get your kits from? Places around me suck. So somebody else asked me this, and I know I talk about all these videos I want to do to help people out, and I promise I will get around to doing them. But this is basically a system I just, it's not a system you buy. I just made it myself. So, talking about aquarium pumps. So here, just because I'm resetting this, I just have this pump. This is, I don't know what is this. It still needs to be cleaned. Anyways, you get a pump like that. And I think this is like a 633. Anyways, you get a pump like that. This is just half-inch hose. And I put this at the bottom of a reservoir. You can see, I mean, it's not the tightest. Yeah, you can use a Fluval for sure, Kirk. I mean, any type of water pump. I put it in this tank, at the bottom of the tank. I put some air stones in here to oxygenate the water. And I run, you can see this tube, I run this 2-inch tube. I'll tell you what the clear tube is in a second, but I run this 2-inch tube into the tent. It's just a flexible tube, so you can run it any way you want. Sorry for the mess. And then it runs in through there. And then I got some T's. So you can see I run 3 lines right down there. Obviously, in a short distance like this, you don't need a super powerful pump, but the longer you're going to pump it, the more powerful pump you're going to need. And then I punch these holes. There's a tool you can use to punch, and then you can, I was just doing this. I'm trying to think if I have, let me see. Sorry. Man. So you can see, here's some of the, on the floor, my little workstation. So stupid. I know I'm the worst example. I'm just trying to see if I have one of those emitters. There. Ugh. Let me just show you. So, let's get into the light. And grab that. Let me get some of this tube. That was some trim gel I was in. Anyways. Okay. So, just to show you. So what I got is, I don't know if that, will this focus? No. Oh boy. Maybe in the light. So this is an emitter. There, ooh, it's threaded. So you punch a little hole. So there you can see. You punch a little hole in the tube, in the 2-inch tube, and then you shove this emitter in, and it's threaded. So you just kind of screw it on. Now there's different kinds of emitters. This does not have, there's no, this is not a pressure compensating emitter. There's no diaphragm or anything to, for, this is a straight, you can't see through, but this is this emitter is just straight through. I can't, the word is eluding me. But anyways, there's nothing to restrict the flow of this emitter. I like that personally in the drips because it means less things to clog. Although, these do still clog. Okay, it's the one challenge with drip systems. So anyways, I got this. Then you stick a spaghetti tube on it, like that, and then I run this T. Now this one needs to be clean, but I'll show you. So then you just run one of these T's on the end of the spaghetti tube, and then for me, I have these Floraflex caps that these just basically drip water, flows water into the top of these caps, and it just goes into these holes to irrigate the rock wall. I guess the point is you don't need a system to be able to build one of these. It's super easy. Now, that little thing there helps to regulate the water flow in case, like, so you're always better off to get a more powerful pump and then get something like that you can use to regulate the water flow, unless you buy a more expensive pump where you can regulate it at the pump. But that's not necessary. You can just get these, and you can stick one of these on each of these lines and regulate the flow as needed, and you're good to go. Now, with a short line like this, and like I said, short distance from my pump to here, you don't have to worry about again, pressure compensating emitters and what have you. And what the reason you would need that in long irrigation systems, okay, is because, so you'll see this line. Now imagine this line was like 100 feet long. Well, what would happen is these lines would start irrigating well before the lines at the end. And what would essentially happen is the plants here would get much more water than the ones at the end. So you don't want that. You can get pressure compensating emitters that will, pressure compensate the water so that it basically waters evenly across the entire line. Now, because these lines are so short distance from the pump, I don't need to worry about that. I don't have to run anything that's pressure compensating. It just goes, like, we're talking about so the furthest, so this is the closest to the pump. That's the furthest away from the pump because this goes like this. Like, that will literally start irrigating, start dripping a few seconds after this. No big deal. And my drip cycles are like 2 minutes anyways. So anyways, so you can just make it yourself. Just make sure you plug the end of these tubes and you're off to the races. You could get some type of system. So back to what Kirk was saying, those are something that I feel, those prepackaged systems are a little costly, and unfortunately it makes it difficult. We all have different configurations for our grow. It makes it hard to configure it for your particular space. So it's always better, you're always better off, I feel, if you want to run a drip system, which, in my opinion, for the record, was a game changer, life changer for me, because it just saved me so much time in irrigating with obviously this many plants. So that was a big time necessity in my garden. And it just makes life easy. And then you set it up on the timer and you're off to the races. So anyways, Kirk made a comment here. If you add another line at the end, connecting all, making a manifold system, it helps with more consistent. Yes, absolutely. You can do that too. I mean, for me, I just threw these again with a short and the small an area I'm covering here, just throwing that all down. And it didn't take long. Like, it literally, took about an hour or so. Set up that whole system. And it's cheap. These emitters, these non-compensating emitters are really cheap. A few cents a piece. This 2.5 inch line is cheap. And then these spaghetti tubes is really cheap. So anyways, there it is. But I can't, if you're gonna look for a prepackaged system, I've heard some people that use and have good experience with Blue Mats, the Blue Mat systems. Feel free to go ahead and try that. But anyways, all right. What else? I thought I'd mention for all my fellow growers out there, especially at this time of year, just some of the mistakes that we can make. Listen, as I'm mixing this res here, this water, do not leave standing water in your gardens. I know that we're indoor growers, but still, standing water could cause you big problems. Just because if you have any insects or what have you, standing water could be the bane of your existence. So think about that, especially at this time of year. And I don't think I missed any other questions. So I'm going to put myself on record here. I promise that I am putting out the next installment of the Can Grow My Way series. So the next series of videos, I am putting that out this weekend. You can hold me to it. It's going to be a series of videos. I don't think it's all going to fit on one. So it's probably going to be about 2 or 3 videos talking about the 10 things needed, in my opinion, the 10 things needed to run a successful indoor grow. So stay tuned for that. Keep your eyes open for that. I can't keep putting this stuff off. I want to put out, like, I mean, obviously the journals are very easy to put together. I try and obviously hit you guys up with useful and helpful information, but I realize that it's always specific to that grow run, so it's information that's hard to go back to and check up on. It's also difficult depending on what stage of your grow is. If you're not at the same stage that I'm at when I'm sharing that video, you know, it's really not that relevant to you. So I really want to put out more of these essentially semi-instructional videos to help new growers and experienced growers alike. So that's the next, that's what I'm putting out there. 10 things you need for a successful indoor grow. Stay tuned and keep your eyes open for it. Yes, definitely check out Aussie Big Bud's channel. He's always putting up content. It's short and sweet, easy to consume, not like me, who always ends up talking way too much. You guys are super committed subscribers and followers for watching my long ass videos sometimes. I appreciate that. I appreciate it. Aussie Big Buds, do you use nutrients when cloning? So here's the deal. What I'll do is I do use just a root stimulator. So what I'll do is I'll I get water. Hold on. And I will pre-soak my rock wool with this. This is what I use. It's by Psychonutrients, called Rhizo Fuel. But really any other, you know, all the other lines, if you use a particular line, they all make something similar. You're just looking for a root stimulant. So I use this when I pre-soak the AOK Rockwool cubes that I root in. Okay, so, and that's it. And then I put that in the water solution. I pH the water to 5.5, and then I stick my clones in. Now the only other thing I'll do, so I don't soak the cubes in anything else, but I will dip the clones in a rooting gel, so rooting hormone. And BJ, thank you so much for that. Appreciate it. Actually, I just picked up I needed some more rooting gel. Give me a second. Man, I have no idea what I did. Anyways, I got some rooting gel. It's Root Tech rooting gel. It's got a very, very high IBA. I think it's 0.55% IBA. That's really what you want to look for in your rooting gel. So I dip the clones in that, stick them in the rock wool, and off we go. Ozzy, do any of you know much about peat moss? I got free, huge brick. Thinking of trying some in there, maybe. Mix a little cocoa and perlite. I mean, hey, they use peat. I mean, when you grow in Pro Mix HP, that is essentially peat. So it works really, really well. But obviously it's not straight peat moss. So I can't speak to that specifically. But I'm sure if you mix it with perlite, and I don't know what else you would want to amend it with, but it can definitely be used. No need to waste it. BJ, I use aloe mixed with tiny bit of Epsom for rooting. Yeah, hey, you know, definitely. I've heard some good things about using aloe. I don't personally, but acid pH, I heard. Yeah. Yeah, I can't, like I said, I can't speak to that, BJ, but yeah, mix it with something cool. So, before we close this out, let me just give you guys a quick sneak peek at Grow Run 8, if you hadn't already seen it, as we're talking about cones and cuttings. So, what do I got going on here? I got wedding cake, sour diesel, blue dream, Crown Royale, which is a strain from Crop King Seeds, and I have cheese. So this is Grow Run 8. These will be going into the veg tent early next week. They've been in this tray now, I think 8 days. 8 days, yeah. The dome came off these 2 days ago, so they're just hardening up now, and everything's looking great. For those that, again, haven't followed me for too long, or you're new, you don't know why all this white stuff is there, that is part of my IPM sulfur dust treatment, which I do once a week all throughout veg. It is solid. I love it. Thanks, guys. Thanks, Ozzy. Appreciate that. Yeah, they're doing great, and thanks, BJ. Appreciate that. And you can see, so we were talking about this earlier. These, I've taken larger cuttings. I was able to take larger cuttings from these because, like I was saying, we want to be able to, you know, grow out even in the short 10 to 14 day veg that I do. We want to grow out some bigger plants, and you know, starting with some bigger cuttings, that'll definitely help, and maybe sticking to that closer to the 14 days 2-week veg, and we should be good. But you know, I'm looking forward to this run, and then we'll be taking cuttings in about 2 weeks for Grow Run 9. All right, so Ozzy's about to do the same. Yeah, man, good luck with the cuttings for sure. Kirk, does clipping the leaves really help? So I've done it. I've not done it. Personally, I have found that they tend to root quicker when I do cut the leaves. That's not a scientific, that's just some observations. I've done it a few times where I've left them uncut, and other times where and most of the time I cut them. So that's my take on it. You know, most of the growers I know, they all cut the leaves. In case you're new to growing or taking clones, if you're wondering why do we cut these leaves like this, it is to prevent the plant. It's for you know, for the plant to focus on developing roots as opposed to developing new growth or transpiring much through these leaves in the early stages of cloning. Okay, that is the idea behind it. I'm not gonna lie, I'm not, you know, and I can't say that I've read entirely scientific studies on that specifically, but hey, there it is. I do, as you can see, I find it works better for me. Take that as you will. Okay, perfect experience is better. WJ, it's really good over there. I missed something. Also allows you to identify new growth easier. Yeah, for sure. You know, absolutely. Although I gotta be honest with you, with the sulfur dust sprays, I can tell new growth like this. Did a manifold and the branch snapped off a plant. Oh no. Well, you can always fix that for sure. Shoot, if you got enough time, you can graft it together. All right, everyone. Thank you so much to everyone that tuned in. I always appreciate you guys taking times out of your day and your evenings to hang out with me here in the garden. More and more and more, I really appreciate these times and chatting it up with you guys. I hope you enjoyed it. Sorry for the little cutoff we had there. Thank you to everybody else that rejoined. And, you know, I think this is as good a time as any to end this now and get back to work in the garden. We will go live once again next week, Thursday, 9 p.m. Eastern. And like I said, stay tuned for some of those, for the new Can Grow My Way videos coming up in the next couple days. Kirk, thank you so much. Yeah, I try and give it straight. I try and give it as informative, but without trying to get too complicated. Make it easy for everyone to understand. BJ, first time here, great content. Thank you. Appreciate that. Appreciate that. All right, everyone. Thanks for tuning in. We will see you guys on the flip side. Happy growing. This is Can Grow. Signing out. Cheers.